Is it spring training time yet? Are we in Clearwater yet? Nope, it's snowing outside. Happy snowy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to PHLY Phillies podcast. We've got Jamie Lynch, Tyler Zulli, myself, Renee Washington. Today's a day that reminds you more than ever how excited we are that spring training is here, because my countdown just hit 0 days because today is February 13th. So all pitchers and catchers are down in Clearwater. For the others that are waiting until tomorrow, all right, technically we have 1 day until pitchers and catchers officially start training, but it's happening, guys. It's happening. Happy Tuesday. Happy official pitchers and catchers are in Clearwater and reported day.
Yes, Renee, it's so exciting. The pitchers are checking in and getting their uniforms and submitting paperwork and getting ready for the year. I mean, it's better than not having baseball. I will say our own John Foley arrived in Clearwater yesterday, and as we're dealing with this icy slush crap that's going on here, he's probably got like a nice 65-degree sunny day. He wins.
Do you guys think with Renee's countdown, do you guys think they have to like check into their hotel? Last name? Harper. Oh, sorry, Mr. Harper. It doesn't look like we have you on the list today.
Listen.
Yeah, I think Bryce's waterfront mansion's probably a little better than the hotel.
This is the day, guys, because check-in day, it's kind of like syllabus week for school. It's kind of like that first day, especially for like elementary school, kindergarten. They bring them in a day before. Like, it's officially happening. This is the time. It's officially happening. It's that syllabus day. So the countdown's there.
You liked syllabus day, didn't you?
I mean, who likes syllabus day?
Syllabus week in college
the next
was great.
class.
It was great because it was like a light transition in. For preseason, it was always like that first day where you got all your gear, and then everything went downhill from there. So yeah, who doesn't like syllabus day? All right, guys, listen, we've got a lot of people in the chat. I think our first one was Kim. Congrats to you, Kim. Second, J Flo is back in the chat. Yeah, we know who you are, J Flo. We remember you very vividly from the NLCS. Our Diamondbacks.
I love the Diamondbacks. I don't hate them.
Join us. Yeah, hit that thumbs up button, J Flo. Kim, what's up, Mopar? I see our buddy Vince, of course. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Listen, we've got a lot to get into today. Thanks for joining us. We're a little bit earlier than our usual 11 a.m. time, but we still have the usual topics and things to get into. At the very end, we will have Guess That Stance. I'm excited because, Tyler, you're on the other side of this, buddy. Yeah. And then, of course, before then, we've got plenty around spring training, the roster, the non-roster invitees, and much more, because there's been some rumors and signings and happenings, and we're going to fly through some things today. All right, so let's start this off because it is officially the day, guys. 0 days left in the countdown, or 1 for some.
Sure.
So with that, let's talk spring training, because what better thing to think about right now than palm trees, Clearwater, warm weather, all the fun, all the sounding of the bat cracking and the ball hitting the mid, everything that we love, guys. It's happening. And with that, we also got our official non-roster invitees. 3 of the top prospects for the Phillies are also invited in that. Now, the interesting thing about this breakdown is the positions, of course, vary. I've seen for the Phillies official roster, that's what I'm going by for positions, because other outlets have the guys in unique spots, and some of the positions do vary. So with that, there are 15 different non-roster invitees in addition to the 40-man roster. Of that group, the breakdown is as follows. We've got 1 outfielder. We've got 2 catchers in Aramis Garcia, Cody Roberts, the outfielder, Cal Stevenson. Our infielders, 5 of them, Scott Kingery, Nick Podkol, Carlos De La Cruz, Matt Kroon, and William Simone. And then 7 pitchers, Mick Abel, Ryan Berg, Griff McGarry, Tyler McKay, Tyler Phillips, Jose Ruiz, Nick Snyder. Lots of Tylers, Tyler. But listen, this is the non-roster invitees. And for me, there's a couple names that jump out, Scott Kingery being the first, but also our 3 prospects that we've talked about in Griff, Mick, and Carlos that have an opportunity to get a chance getting that call into the Phillies spring training to see what they can do. So I'm excited to see who's actually ready and has improved. Scott, to me, is like one of the biggest names of like, buddy, it's your time. You've got that 1 extra year, that club option. This is it. Can you or can you not step into the majors?
Yeah, I think those are the names to watch. Scott Kingery, I mean, like, unless he went into a mud hut on some ayahuasca this offseason and found out how to like stay consistent good. I don't think he's going to make the team, but his utility abilities, certainly are appealing if you're a manager. But yeah, I think Carlos De La Cruz is a very interesting one to watch. I believe he's about 24 now. So I don't want to say like make or break it, but it's pretty much around make it or break it time. He's a raw kid, 6'8", a lot of power, very intriguing, athletic for somebody that big. This is the time he's got to show if he thinks he can belong or contribute. He went undrafted in the Rule 5, so the Phillies were able to keep him. He's a real interesting one to watch in the spring training. And then the other two, and Tyler, you can expound on these. Mick Abel, obviously, who we talked about, 6'5" gas thrower, just hasn't been able to consistently find control and command yet. And then the other one is Griffin McGarry, who just a year ago was the team's number 3 or 4 prospect, depending on what you read. Kind of completely fell apart this year, so much so that the final month of the season in AAA, they said we have to rework your mechanics. So he's kind of, I don't want to say starting fresh, but starting anew this spring training. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what he looks like and what he's got in store. But those are definitely the ones to pay attention to. They're going to be a lot of fun to follow.
Yeah, I think the overwhelming theme of this group is camp bodies, right? Because I don't know, and that's not, I don't mean that as a disrespect to some of these guys like Abel and McGarry, like you were talking about. I don't know how many of these guys have a legitimate chance to break camp with the big league club, because the two younger guys, Abel and McGarry, even if they maybe Abel, if he shines, like just he's incredibly dominating, but even those two guys that maybe might see major league innings this year, Abel probably more likely than McGarry, they're not going to bring these guys up before the Super 2 date anyway. You're not going to burn a year of team control to bring these guys up in April or May, because quite frankly, I don't think either of them are ready. The one name that I am intrigued with, because it was so buy low, is Jose Ruiz. I believe he was DFA'd by the Diamondbacks last year, spent some time in the majors last season. And I do think that he is a guy that they want to see if they can almost make him like a reclamation project. And do I think he breaks breaks camp with the team? No, I don't. But would I be stunned if he has like this stellar spring training that maybe they give him an extended look and keep him around till the deadline? It's possible.
Yeah. And I see J Flo, I know you've got a comment. We'll get to that. Jordan
Super chat comment.
We will get to that. Don't you worry. J Flo is here. He's back, guys. He's making his presence known. There's some other guys that need to make their presence known. You talk about Griffin McGarry. This is definitely to disclaim and put a disclaimer in front of all this. As you guys mentioned, I don't really see any of these guys as ready now, breaking the roster now. It's a matter of, are you closer? And Griffin McGarry has a lot to prove in the sense that he was a high-level prospect. We saw the drop-off. And now with his mechanics being tweaked, is he closer? Mick Abel, of course, number 2 prospect. Expectations are there for him in the future. Jose Ruiz, as you mentioned, Tyler, 212 major league baseball appearances across 7 seasons. The White Sox, J Flo, your Diamondbacks, the Padres. So he is someone that might be able to be a fixer-upper in that sense, and be someone that the Phillies are able to retool a bit and utilize. But across this list, there are definitely, I think I'm just interested in seeing who is closer. You've got a 16th round pick in Tyler McKay. You've got Tyler Phillips, we saw with split time with Reading and Lehigh Valley last season. Each of these different names we've been keeping an eye on, and it's just good to know, okay, are you there? Are you getting closer? What's the farm system looking like with our 3 prospects? And with these other names, how much are we going to be able to get from you to at least compete and be closer? So it's a lot to keep an eye on, but Scott Kingery is definitely one of them. As I mentioned before, this is it. Scott Kingery is in that final guaranteed season of his 6-year deal that he had. Of course, I don't think this is going to be it for him. I don't think he's going to be able to crack the list, but Scott, who knows? And then Nick Podkolzin, I just like his name, actually. Podkolzin's got a cool name. But at 26 as an infielder, Nick Podkolzin, saw some great pop from him, some good at-bats from him in AAA, and just someone to keep an eye on. But overall, I'm just excited because it's spring training, guys. And I know, Christy, you're saying you would take almost anybody over Cave. MBDBDBF saying I would take Zulli over Kingery.
Let me get that arm loose.
This just in, breaking
I mean,
news.
listen, they got like 17 Tylers on the non. They got like 17 Tylers. What's an 18th? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're a Stone baseball name.
The one thing I will say, based on this list and who the Phillies currently have on their 40-man roster, it's becoming more and more evident. And I know you guys talked about it yesterday a little bit, and we've talked about it a lot. I think it's becoming more and more evident. This team's going to add another outfielder in some capacity. You have one non-roster invitee outfielder, and then the depth after, on the 40 is pretty thin to begin with because Marsh isn't going to play for a couple of weeks. You've got Rojas, you've got Pache, you've got Castellanos, you've got Schwarber. I guess you could consider him an outfielder still, I guess, by trade, even though he's going to be your DH. My point is the depth at the in the outfield, the outfield grouping is incredibly thin. I would be stunned if they don't bring another outfielder in at some point based on this group that they've compiled.
Yeah, I want it to be Eddie Rosario. John Morosi, just before we went on air here, was saying that tomorrow for the Cubs in particular, and I would think it's starting to be this way for a lot of teams, is kind of like put up or shut up date. They're going to have to make some like real pushes because their roster, I mean, they haven't done anything really, except for bringing in Imanaga and the Craig Counsell. So, offensively, are they going to have Chapman? Are they going to have Bellinger? Like, what's going on there? So I think a lot of clubs are starting to be like, okay, it's go time. Like, get your final offers in. And now to get to the super chat from J Flow, this is where I think the Phillies come into play because the longer this takes, the better it is for the Phillies to go get Jordan Montgomery. I don't think it's BS that Zalecki, Gelb, and Jim Salisbury all have heard the same things because their sources would be within the Phillies, not the agents themselves, most likely. So if they're hearing it from within the Phillies are just sitting there going, please take longer, market, please. So I think the longer it takes, the more realistic a one-year deal becomes. And then I think the Phillies become, real contenders to go get Jordan Montgomery. So this market taking forever is great for the Phillies' chances of landing them to your question there, J Flow. And if they do get Montgomery, I mean, is there a better rotation in baseball? The Dodgers eventually probably will be and can be up there with them. The Braves are pretty good, especially if Sale, comes through for them. But you're one of the top staffs in baseball if you go and get him. Ranger Suarez as a fourth is a total luxury to have.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Don't forget the Mariners rotation, by the way. I think that one gets slept on because they're the Mariners and
because they play in Seattle and nobody ever sees them.
It's quite possible. That rotation is disgusting.
It is. But this Phillies rotation, as you mentioned, if you have Ranger as number 4, first of all, it just helps on the side of Taijuan Walker. We are impressed with how Christopher Sanchez has improved. It gives them flexibility. It gives them more options, and it gives them a great top 3. And as we talked about in our show yesterday, and J Flow, you missed it, but we were talking about Jordan Montgomery yesterday. Montgomery, being that his name is connected to the Red Sox, the Phillies, the who was the other team? The Giants, who obviously we saw just make a move, and we'll talk about that. There's not much competition, I hate to say. There's always teams lurking. Listen, teams like the Dodgers are always lurking. I'm not going to discredit
Jonathan in the chat has a good point. He says that the Rangers just got their TV contract done. And for a lot of markets, that is something that's been a holdup in how they spend. So if Texas, gets that contract, the ink is fresh on that. They might go, okay, it's Chapman and Montgomery time. Let's run it back more or less, and we'll have a really good shot. So we'll see. But I do think this week is very interesting for the timeline of the free agency. And if you find yourself in a timeline for finding a new house, Renee, Tyler, I was just telling my sister about these guys this weekend. I implore you, try out Mortgage CS. Mortgage CS is awesome. They can help you get ready for buying a house, for maybe selling a house. They stand for the Mortgage Concierge Service. And Alec and Ben over there at Mortgage CS are workaholics in the best possible way. And having gone through the process myself a couple times, you want that person that's going to answer the phone every time you call, that's going to work overnight for you, that's going to educate and empower you along the way. And I was telling my sister, like, I trust these guys. I met with them for an hour and a half and I was sold. I wish I had them on my previous experiences. They're licensed all over, coast to coast, from California to New Jersey, down to Florida. And they really find it beneficial for you and the process to educate you and empower you and make you feel like you know what you're talking about. They're a local lender, so they can obtain ultra competitive rates out there. And they have exceptional customer service, so much so that they just give you your cell phone number. And, if you want to talk Phillies, if you want to talk Jorge Soler signing with the Giants with them, reach out to Ben anytime. His number, 267-391-7425. You can email Ben at ben@mortgagecs.com. Call, text Ben any time of the day or night. It doesn't even have to be about mortgages. Maybe you just need a friend to reach out to. You can check out mortgagecs.com/Philly to get started. Literally 24/7. They're going to help you in a competitive market. They can help you refinance, get your credit in order, just get you prepared for the process, because it's a pain in the ass process. Let's not sugarcoat that. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
And while we're on the topic of money and how you're going to be financially more responsible, Rocket Money can help you do that. Now, over at Rocket Money, they do a great job as a personal finance app of being able to help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending. They help lower your bills. And Rocket Money just does a tremendous job of making sure you have a good picture and idea of where all of your money is going. Who doesn't love that? And I know personally, as someone that uses Rocket Money, because I enjoy the organization of it, the ease, the convenience of having a financial picture right there on your phone, all in one spot, instead of having to go mobile app to mobile app. Or for those that still go into the bank, maybe having to go bank to bank. I don't even know what that process is like. Jamie, I'm looking at you. But over at Rocket Money, you don't have to worry about that process because it's right on your phone. It's nice and convenient. They have over 5 million users, and they've helped save their members an average of $720 a year, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/PHLY. That's rocketmoney.com/PHLY. You will not regret it. And honestly, as someone that just got an alert recently, I shared this story. It's a true story, sadly, that I was spending $36 per month on something that I had no idea I was spending money on.
Renee.
I know. I just needed it to help my my ad read, because now I can give you guys an example of how Rocket Money helped save me money when I was spending $36 a month for several months, which adds up very quickly.
Go ahead, Jamie. Go ahead and say it. $36
in this
a month?
economy. I can hear that reverberate
Lord.
through your guys' speakers.
Careful, you're gonna get Tyler's dog barking again when he hears that.
So it definitively was the mailman. I guarantee you, I'm gonna go down to so we have the slot in the door.
Oh, classic.
And probably 4 out of 5 days I come home from the studio and there is mail just obliterated across the.
My dog Bootsy used
rips
to do that.
it apart.
Yeah, our mail slot on the door was all chewed up because she would, bark and growl at the mailman.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's listen.
They just want to be lauded for protecting the home. That's all they want. They're doing their job.
They are the security dogs. They are they are your security. They just want to make sure they're doing their job.
There you go. You see, that's the problem, is she thinks she's tough, and then she is the type of dog that if somebody comes in, immediately wants belly rubs.
That's how my cat used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I had a cat. Like, all right, see, she's like, you're talking about me. It's my time. All right, so for Jordan Montgomery, hopefully it is his time and he can come to the Phillies. Rangers, even though they had that TV deal locked down, doesn't matter. Let's hope that the price tag is still too high for them and they're not in on Jordan Montgomery, and especially with him wanting around $30 million. Whereas the Phillies, maybe they can find a way to meet in the middle and get a deal with Scott Boras and Jordan Montgomery. So with that, as we are nearing spring training, I saw there was a piece that came out from Major League Baseball about spring training questions each team has going into the start of spring training. And for the Phillies, the question was, can they run it back and win it all? Now, the write-up is saying, and this is no surprise, guys, we've seen this, we know this, but this is what the write-up is saying. It's been a quiet offseason for the Phillies, who stunningly lost I don't know why this part had to be in the blurb, but who stunningly lost game 6 and 7 to Arizona. J-Flo, there you go. You're welcome. In the NLCS, they signed Aaron Nola. I'm just going to spark notes it because the rest we already know. The Phillies believe they can be good or better in 2024. They signed nobody else other than Colby Allard to that 1-year, $1 million deal, outside of just some small signings here and there.
Oh, Spencer Turnbull.
Outsiders think it's a risk. I know they forgot Spencer, but this actually came out. Outsiders think it's a risk if it happens, but never rule out a surprise or two from Dave Dombrowski. The Phillies, of course, are unlikely to have any big signings unless the market changes drastically in the coming weeks. And they mentioned in that, of course, Jordan Montgomery. So Todd Zulli wrote that piece and that snippet about the Phillies running it back and winning it all with the same group. Guys, honestly, that is kind of the main question I think that many people have going into spring training for the Phillies is, can they run it back and win it all? Other than that, it's are we making a mistake? I think would be my part 2 to that question. Is this a mistake to run it back, or are we missing something? And the Phillies have everything they need, and the additions of a Colby and a Spencer are going to be enough to be able to, exceed and get back to being in the World Series. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think running it back is more or less fine. I think this is a really talented baseball team. I would have liked to have seen, and we might still get it, that extra outfielder / bench bat. I want an upgrade over Cave there. I don't think that's being nitpicky. I want an insurance policy. If Marsh, all of a sudden the knee aggravates him, the first week of the season, and he's got to take a month or two off. I don't see money. Around the edges money. I don't see why it would prohibit you when you're this close, because they're not afraid of the Braves. So that's one of the big 2 you got to get through. I'm not saying they'll do it a 3rd year in a row, but they're certainly not intimidated by them. The Dodgers, spending money doesn't guarantee anything. Ask the Yankees of the 2000s about that. So I think they're going to be really good. And do I want to see them in a playoff series? Not particularly. But I think running it back more or less is fine. You got to hope Rojas is able to give you better at bats and not be an automatic strike come playoff time. But I think with Bohm and Stott and Marsh and the steps they all took last year, relying on Orion is going to be big. But you have a good mix of homegrown young nucleus with these big bopping, highly paid vets. So it kind of, to me, seems like a really good mix roster wise. So I don't really have a problem running it back. I would just like if you go get Jordan Montgomery now and just give him $35 million for 1 year, I think you're right there as one of the best in baseball. And I don't care what the Dodgers did. So you're damn close. I don't really have a problem. Not the most exciting. So I get fans kind of pessimism.
Yeah.
Think about the last couple of off seasons when you acquire Bryce Harper, you acquire JT Realmuto, you acquire Trey Turner, you get Nick Castellanos, you get Kyle Schwarber. These are all noteworthy conversation pieces that I know, Jamie, you and I have done many, many radio shows on. Renee, I know you've talked about them, in your work capacities prior to us being here together. These are all noteworthy things, and they've not made a noteworthy signing this year. And I think people immediately go to the pessimism. And, I don't want to say doomsday, but I think a lot of people have their concerns. But I think multiple things can be true at once where, sure, adding another veteran bullpen arm would help kind of solidify and slot these young guys, or the young guy in Orion Kerkering, in a spot that is most comfortable for him. And also, this bullpen's really good. I think adding a 4th outfielder, or a bat off the bench, is not a bad thing. And also, I'm very comfortable with this starting lineup. I think all of those things can be very true at once. This team is going to be very good again. Even if they added nothing else, they're going to be a very good baseball team again this year. Is their depth pretty thin? Yeah, it is. I mean, especially in the offensive side of things, where we've talked about the bench isn't very strong. Mm-hmm. But the starting rotation is good. You get a full year of Christopher Sanchez, presumably a full year of Ranger Suarez, and a bullpen that was really, really good last year. And you get a full season of Orion Kerkering. You get Jose Alvarado maybe in a clear, definable role. You get Jeff Hoffman in a clear, definable role. if you get anything better this year than you did last year from Sir Anthony Dominguez, it's already a better bullpen. This team is really good. And I think people just immediately think run it back equals bad, and it doesn't have to. It's just that I think you've seen the last couple of years with all these big splash moves, they're not making a big splash move this year. And that was probably always going to be the case.
And the thing is, they made the big splash moves. And I know in the chat, you guys are making some good points. I see Philly Insider Podcast, J Flow, MBDBDBF making various points around the fact that, the consistency and familiarity. And J Flow, this is a great point by you. Are you becoming a Phillies fan? The consistency in itself and familiarity is important. That this is a group that had additions like Trey Turner and Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber, different pieces that have come in over the last couple years. And now they've had a chance to have postseason success, despite, falling short. It still was successful the last 2 seasons. And also can now have an idea of their roles, their identities, how they gel together, what they need to fix, what they need to do. When you mix in all these new pieces, it takes time to figure that out. I don't care how established you are, how successful you are, how many years you have in the league. Anytime you go into something new, it takes time to figure each other out. And there is that period of transition, whereas the Phillies don't have to worry about that. And hopefully this year we get a strong start, which we haven't seen the last 2 years, which should be a result of the fact they are running it back. This is the same group. We should see them kind of pick up from day one and be ready to hit the ground running. So I agree with you guys that it could be a reason to panic, but I do understand why from the outside, when you aren't seeing, especially because we're not getting games. I think if we were in season getting these major moves, as this was around the trade deadline, it might be different. But right now we're just talking about names on a paper. And to see the Phillies not making any moves that are, big outside of a Colby Allard and, Spencer Turnbull. And you see other teams that are bringing in all these all-star caliber players, gold glove caliber players, these big names. It's like, wait a minute, what about us? But don't let FOMO have you feeling like we are missing out, because the Phillies do have a lot of talent still. And as we've talked about in the show before, it's other teams trying to play catch up to some of the areas the Phillies are already strong. But I do want to add this other point, because Bleacher Report came out with something similar. Everybody's doing their preseason conversations. And so a Bleacher Report piece was talking about the biggest question for every team heading into 2024. And for the Phillies, they actually talked about who is the closer. With Craig Kimbrell with the Orioles now. And obviously we know the fact that if nothing else, if you didn't like Craig Kimbrell, which we were all okay with the move, there were a lot of innings that walk with Craig Kimbrell out of the picture.
Craig Kimbrell might have been the team's MVP for the first 3 months of the season. Everybody just throws that away. So that's got to be Orion now. I think that's one of the riskiest things is they're just, Craig Kimbrell exploded down the stretch and Rob Thompson should have known better. But, it was close to 75 innings in the regular season. Yeah. Like that's a lot to put on a kid's shoulders. And, I think that's one of the, and risky doesn't mean bad. I just think it's one of the riskier moves they're taking this year to me is relying on Orion to fill that amount of innings well. And Johan Rojas developing offensively into a non-automatic out. I have faith in both of those guys. But I do acknowledge it's risky to rely on them in their, full-time new gigs.
But and Jamie, that's why when we were talking about what maybe sound a little hypocritical, but it's going to circle back to the point we were talking about. This is still a really good bullpen, and Kirkering being able to slot a spot down by the addition of what could have been a veteran arm this offseason. I think that it doesn't have to be a closer. I think if you were to have added a Phil Maton, you could, Ryan Stanek or Robert Stevenson,
Junis.
So it doesn't.
If he wasn't given a chance to start,
right. It doesn't necessarily have to be a closer per se to replace Craig Kimbrell's innings. I think if you were able to get a veteran reliever, and I guess it's still technically possible. I don't expect anything much to happen at this point, but if you get a veteran reliever, you alleviate some of that stress on a young Kirkering and allow him to be a 6th, 7th inning guy, maybe plays himself into a high leverage type of guy. But if you can start the year with Alvarado and Strahm as your high leverage lefties and Jeff Hoffman as your high leverage righty, I think that you're in a really good spot. And that just lets you allow Kirkering to grow naturally into a major league high leverage reliever.
And you know what else can help alleviate some of that stress, guys? Factor meal kits, because they have ready-to-eat meals that make each day better and a lot easier. You don't have to worry about what am I going to have for dinner today? What's for lunch? Lunchtime is coming up. And that's a horrible question. I know many of us have to ask every single day. What do I have taste for today? What's for lunch? With Factor meal kits, they help alleviate the stress of trying to meal plan because they have over 35 different options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan, veggie, much more that they provide. And they deliver meals right to your doorstep, prepared and ready to eat. They are dietitian approved. They are easy. They are also able to help whether with snacks, smoothies, those midday bites. They also have a lot of like different options for their foods. And so with them, it becomes flexible too. So you have the flexibility to get as much or as little as you need. You can choose from 6 to 18 different meals per week. You can pause, you can reschedule deliveries, but you don't have to worry about, most importantly, prepping, the mess of figuring out meals, the mess of going into the grocery store, trying to figure out what you want, because there's over 55 nutrition-packed add-ons in addition to those 35 different options a week that you can have delivered right to your doorstep. Restaurant quality meals, ready to eat whenever you are with Factor Meal Kits. So head to factormealkits.com/Phillies50, excuse me. Factormealkits.com/Phillies50, that is Phillies50, to get 50% off whenever you head over to Factor Meal Kit. So sign up and save. It's a lot easier, a lot less expensive than takeout. It's a lot less expensive than wandering around the grocery store looking for what you want to eat. Factormealkits.com/Phillies50. All right. So as we're talking about the closer conversation, obviously we know Jose Alvarado will definitely, we're expecting a big season from him. Gregory Soto could hopefully be a little bit more of that 2022 Gregory Soto. I know I saw a stat, 30 of his 53 career saves came in 2022 with Detroit. Let's get that back with Philly. Sir Anthony Dominguez can also and should have and needs to have a better season. Jeff Hoffman, if he can maintain what he did last year and still be that same Jeff Hoffman, if we can get a full season of Orion Kerkering, all these things are positive for the Phillies. But not only have we heard the names that are already on the team, there has been some talk about a possible trade for the Phillies. And Kenley Jansen has come up. So Red Sox Kenley Jansen allegedly has been targeted by a few different teams. The Dodgers, because the Dodgers are going after everybody and their mom and dad. The Phillies and the Padres have been the three teams that John Heyman mentioned the Red Sox are in play for. Now, apparently they are fielding offers for Jansen, and that's a name that we hadn't actually talked about at all, really. But Kenley Jansen as a possible trade target, we know we've been talking about Devin Williams and Emmanuel Clase. Could a move for Kenley Jansen happen? Because the Red Sox are apparently in this offseason, which has been strange for them too, because they're not doing much. They are shopping out Jarren Duran, their outfielder, as well as Kenley Jansen as two names that have been brought up as possible trade chips. Are you pushing your chips in for Kenley Jansen, guys?
How old is he again? Is he like 34, 35 now that we know of?
Kenley is, I believe.
I mean, yeah, I would.
I forget his age, actually. I had it written somewhere.
Yeah, I think he's around that he reports. I mean, he could be 52 for all we know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to that if the price is right. You know, I don't know if I want to give. I haven't taken a look at his contract, so I don't know how many years are remaining. When Tyler's talking, I'll look that up.
He's 36.
36. Okay. You know, I don't want to give up a top 4 guy for him, but I think anything outside of that, I would listen to. So I would protect Miller, Crawford, Abel, and Painter, obviously. Once you get outside of that, we can probably have some conversations. We've talked about it before with kind of the log jams, you know, like with Turner and Stott, the middle of your infield is set for the foreseeable 10 years. So if you have any guys, and if Aiden Miller projects with his arm to be a third baseman, that gives you the option to get out of Bohm if you'd like in a couple years. You have to start thinking about moving some of those kids. Like, you know, if it can get you something that puts you over the top to a title contender, you know, I think now is the time to protect what you want and be damned with the rest a little bit. Like, I know you can't talk about prospects like that, but you know, that's, you know, if it helps you get one of the best closers of all time to this bullpen, and it takes away pretty much all questions with the bullpen, and as Tyler's point, makes Orion's life even easier to be successful, why would you not consider it?
So he is going into the second season of his 2-year, $32 million deal, 36 years old. And it was John Murphy and John Heyman that had
1-year deal
as a landing spot for him. So yeah.
Screw it. Yep. All in. The 1-year deal for him, not tied to anything in the future. Screw it. Yeah. Go all in.
Tyler, are you going all in, pushing the chips in?
Listen, I think that you are not like you have to understand you're not getting Dodgers Kenley Jansen, right? That's just not a thing. The guy that is going to be the one thing you can do is you can say if you add Kenley Jansen for the second consecutive year, a closer who will almost definitively get into the Hall of Fame when their career is over, put a Phillies uniform on at some point. I don't know if that.
Well, it's very tough for closers.
Kimbrel,
I know he's like
Kimbrel
6 all the time, right?
Kimbrel and Jansen are both going to go to the Hall of Fame. I firmly believe that. I will say this: I think that Jansen's cutter still plays a little bit. Like, it's not the break your bat Mariano Rivera Jr. cutter that it was back in his Dodgers days, but I think it still plays a little bit, and it really depends on what the value for a Kenley Jansen is. In the market, it depends on how the Red Sox value him. I would make a move, barring it being a significant trade piece. Like, I'm okay if they don't get Jansen. I would be okay if they do acquire Jansen, but I'm not okay moving significant pieces for 1 year of Kenley Jansen. I think, like I said, I think that cutter still plays. It's just, it depends on what the market value is.
Yeah.
I mean, if a bunch of teams jump in, then it gets pricey. Sure.
Right. As you guys mentioned, the numbers are there, especially in the beginning of his career, in his time with the Dodgers and just even with the Red Sox, the numbers that we saw more with the Dodgers. He's totaled 420 saves since he made his debut back in 2010. Number 7 all time, number 1 amongst active players. If the Phillies were able to bring in him and you can get a Kenley Jansen that's closer to what he was just a little bit earlier in his career, a little more steady, I agree. I do feel like
that ain't happening.
It's not happening, but it would be a veteran piece if you can add in, and if it helps on the other side with like an Orion Kerkering and his development, there's a lot of upside there, especially since it's 1 year. So, I mean, I was very intrigued because I hadn't heard anything else about Kenley Jansen linked to the Phillies since this. But hey, this to me shows between Kenley Jansen and Jordan Montgomery and various reports that we've heard, the Phillies are in the midst of some conversations. They are out there, talking to agents. There are offers being fielded, and that we should get some sort of a move for the Phillies. So everybody that's panicking, no need to panic, because it does seem as though behind the scenes there's a lot going on that we just do not know about. By no surprise.
Yeah, I think I'd rather sign Jordan Montgomery than give up stuff to get Kenley Jansen.
I think that's unquestionable.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, like if you have the opportunity to protect some of these kids and get some, Jordan Montgomery probably has a bigger effect on the regular season, but if Jansen's good, I think he pays for himself in the postseason. Just because Jordan Montgomery's consistent, he eats innings, he's kind of a bulldog out there for you.
Right.
So, it's like 185 innings versus 70 high leverage innings. Yeah. It's kind of that's a good bar room discussion.
I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, like with 1 being never going to happen and 10 being it's absolutely going to happen, a Jansen trade to the Phillies is probably at, I would say, about a 2.
Yeah. I'd say Montgomery's more likely than a Jansen trade.
I would say Montgomery's probably like a 4.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe a 3.5.
I still don't think it's going to happen, but I would, if you were to say, which one do look into your crystal ball, which one do you think is going to happen? I would say Montgomery is more likely.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I do agree, though, also with what you guys are talking about. Hypothetical man, you mentioned not getting Class A for Crawford. End of story. Emmanuel Class A's price point is a lot higher in terms of trade values of what the Guardians are looking for. So I don't think Emmanuel Class A will be in a Phillies uniform, but there are some other names floating around as we're talking about that do make sense, that are possible for the Phillies. That would be very, very exciting. All right. As we get closer to winding down, we do have to get into Guess That Stance. We did see some other moves around the league. We'll talk about those moves in much more detail on our show tomorrow, as well as get back to giving our rankings.
Good move for the Giants.
Jorge Soler, the biggest name that has happened. off the board, guys. Jorge Soler agreed to a 3-year deal with the Giants, reported for $42 million. Susan Slusser was the one that broke that news. So Jorge Soler is off the board. He is someone we talked about here on the show. And I see you.
I got the big wiffle ball. This is the dog's best favorite toy in the world.
Oh,
look at this one. Look at this gem. Kurt Schilling's kind of a JO, but this ball, woo, Mariano Duncan, baby, priceless.
You guys gotta let me know this. I didn't know we were playing baseball right now.
This is my fidgeting that can't stop. Like you guys see this. You guys see this stuff on a daily basis behind the scenes, but like this is just because I'm on camera. Like
at first, I wasn't sure what it was.
That is a good eye by Mickey Durkin. He said, "Is that a shoeless Joe Jackson glove?" And it is. Why can't I do that?
I don't know what you turn it the other way.
Oh my god!
There you go.
Yeah,
turn it to your left.
There we go.
There you go.
Shoeless Joe. They make like throwback retro gloves, and it's an awesome glove. Yeah.
So. All right. Well, we'll be maybe tossing some baseballs around in Clearwater soon, guys, because we do.
I'm bringing my glove
coming up. Don't forget, everybody in the chat. Mickey, MBDBDBF, Mopar, Philly Insider Podcast, depending on which person that is behind the YouTube. Christopher, Mickey, everybody. You can join us. We have our PHLY road trip coming up. We'll be down in Clearwater for spring training starting March 13th through the 18th. You can check out those details on our website at allphly.com. We've got a great package that we're putting together for fun, including hanging with Charlie Manuel, seeing the games, having food cruise. Philly Sports Trips is doing a great job putting that together with us. So, Jim, everybody, join us. All right. We did get the news from Jorge Soler. He's off the board, going to the Giants.
Yeah, good move for the Giants.
It is a solid move for the Giants. They've done something.
Why not? They're desperate. He gives them some power in the middle of their order.
Exactly. All right, so let's talk about big hitters or just hitters in general with Guess That Stands. Now, Tyler, I'm so excited for this. Most importantly, this was probably the highlight of my day when I realized we were going to be virtual because it gives you a chance to participate in Guess That Stands on the other side of the screen and see how challenging it is.
This is way harder when I don't have the silhouette in front of me.
I know. All right, our producer Julia Hoff, who's been helping us today and does a fantastic job with PHLY, usually with the Eagles show, and now part of the Phillies Fun. What is our silhouette for today? Flash that stands. Oh, there it is. Okay. See, again, I always see
that's a lefty. It's a lefty.
But I do see this as a lefty.
It's a lefty.
Is the left
foot? So I guess we have to text Julia today, not Tyler. Ooh, Tyler, how's it feel being on the other side of this?
This is way harder now.
Because I always
oh, it's a short swing through the zone.
That shoulder is very distinct. We're seeing some answers. Again, it is from 2006 to present day.
It could. I don't think he's thick enough to be Schwarber. But
no, I don't think it's the same thing. But
short little fella.
He is.
Oh no! Wait, is that a righty? Now I see righty.
See, again, it depends on if the left foot's in front or right foot's in front, and I don't know if his shoulders are towards us or his back is to us. Oh God, I really see it both ways. I think it's a lefty. Tyler, what do you think?
It's a lefty too. Yeah, because you see the right butt cheek, right?
Yeah, I think that's his
the right foot's forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
This contest basically boils down to an ass guessing contest.
It does, because I actually could see that as his left cheek. I could see that as his left cheek holding out, and his back is to us.
Oh,
this is
nothing but right-handed.
I'm gonna go lefty.
I see a very
I'm going righty. I'm going
thin
righty.
hitter.
Oh,
you're going righty now?
No, I don't know. I can't see both of them.
Will said the bigger question is, does Jamie have to pee? What's the over-under, Jamie?
No, I'm good. I'm good so far.
All right. We are actually ahead of schedule
so
today,
far,
too.
so good.
We already did Victorino, didn't we?
Yes, Victorino was done.
I'm
going lefty. I'm going lefty. Okay. I'm going to submit. I'm going to text Julia now. I don't like it because it just took me all the time. If it was right or left-handed.
The ankle is turned front foot. Wait. Okay. Oh gosh, I can't stand this. We already did Shea Victorino, guys, but I could see it.
All right, I submitted, but I don't like it.
Tyler, did you submit yet? Am I the last one as always?
No, I have not, and I'm.
Taylor Swift left-handed.
This is tough.
Michael Bourne.
Now I see
Revere.
why you guys dread over this.
Because I literally can see left and right, which from that issue alone has my brain all over the place.
Yeah, because
Right, so
the bat's launch angle works right-handed and left-handed here.
Exactly.
Can we ask Julia if this is a lefty or a righty?
I've already submitted, you cowards. No.
Wow. Rude.
It's half the battle. Yeah.
No. Yeah, but that's jeez. I hate
Scott
it here.
Kingery? I don't feel confident in my answer. Let me just say that.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
All right, Jamie, did you definitively side on a lefty or a righty?
I went with a lefty.
I think it's a lefty.
That
as
butt
well.
cheek is. I think that butt cheek is the right
either
butt
way.
cheek.
Dang it! From 2006 to present, there's so many names going through my mind. Okay, I think I'm gonna submit soon. Oh, jeez.
I love that Tyler's tortured by this.
That's the highlight of the day. Because I definitely feel like it's so.
This is way harder than I anticipated it being.
Sucks to suck.
All right, Tyler, we're out of time, so you got to.
Yeah, we got to wrap this show. Oh wow, Tyler, you got to wrap the show up. Hurry up and get a name.
Yeah,
did you guys guess?
No,
already?
Tyler, you got to hurry up.
Yeah,
yep,
I already guessed mine too.
You got to guess, Tyler. Let's go.
This is karma. Karma is Tyler not knowing if it's a right or a lefty.
All right. I put an answer in.
Hubris is coming back to bite you.
I have no feel for this at all.
Yeah, it's tough.
This is terrible. This is way harder than I thought it was going to be.
Because you can literally see both sides.
Because there's some guys that are like very easy.
So I said Garrett Stubbs.
I also said Garrett Stubbs.
I also said Garrett Stubbs.
No! All right, Julia, what is the answer?
Damn.
I'm scared.
I don't think it's Garrett.
No!
It was Schwarber.
No way.
He's way too thin to be Schwarber.
I know. I thought Schwarber would have looked
because of the way his
thicker.
body is angled. He's posted like an Instagram picture. He's so silent.
Wait.
So thick.
That silhouette was way too thin.
Oh
to be Schwarber.
my gosh.
Stumped.
Wow.
Hoodwinked. Bamboozled.
I did see a lot of people said Schwarber in the chat. Neil, you were saying skinny Schwarber.
I think Mopar got it.
Mopar
That's
did
Atkins
get it.
diet Schwarber.
It's giving.
That's brutal.
I'm posting on Instagram. Let me turn sideways so I don't look as big, Schwarber. Because
that's
what
terrible.
Wow. And actually, that sucks. That really sucks. Dang. That was one we should have got, guys.
It's bad.
It looked a little shorter and like a little more stubby. All right.
We got to go.
0 for 3. But glad some of you guys got it correct in the chat. Thanks for tuning in to join us for our earlier start time. We're back at 11 a.m. tomorrow. We will have our continuation of ranking by positions. We've got center fielders. We also have some more updates going on as we're getting closer and closer to us being in Clearwater, but the Phillies are there, guys. Thank you, Jamie, for bringing your friends. Thank you, Tyler, for bringing yours as well. Glad you guys have friends and such a booming social life. And thank you all for joining us, friends. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure that you are here tomorrow at 11. Don't miss it. Jay Flo, we better see you back, buddy, and everybody else. Jonathan, MBDBDF, Jim, Neil, whole gang. See you tomorrow. For us here at PHLY Phillies Podcast, Tyler, Jamie, Julia, myself, Renee, have a great Tuesday. Be safe, stay warm, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.